Namaskar. Atmaram, your turn.
Sure. Just let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I prepared a presentation on Ishvara Pranidhana. When I was working on it, I realized that I didn't read enough about this principle, so it was very informative. I hope it will be as informative for you as well. Um, so there may be many interpretations of the term Ishvara, but it commonly means the controller of the universe. He who controls the thought waves of this universe is Ishvara. Whatever may be the minor differences to a sadhaka, Ishvara is understood to be nothing other than Saguna Brahma, or God. Pranidhana means to understand clearly or to adopt something as a shelter. Therefore, Ishvara Pranidhana means to establish oneself in the cosmic idea, to accept Ishvara as the only ideal of life. The physical body constitutes of 5 fundamental factors, does not disobey the laws of the cycle of his thought wave, extroversial or introversial. It is your mind that violates them, and this results in the degeneration of the unit consciousness, because unit consciousness is reflected in the mind and nowhere else. So Ishvara Pranidhana means to move with accelerated speed towards that supreme shelter, God. Therefore, Ishvara Pranidhana is absolutely based on bhava, or ideation. It is a mental effort in its entirety. Shouting at the top of one's voice for a big crowd to assemble, or showing devotion by beating drums, has got no place in it. Your Ishvara is not deaf. Don't shout to convey your mental feelings to him. So it's purely based on bhava, on ideation and mental effort. One will have to detach the mind from worldly propensities while meditating upon Ishvara. First, the mind will have to be withdrawn from the limited I feeling and focused at a point. The one will take the thought of the macrocosm around that point with the help of the ideation of the mantra prescribed according to one's own samskara. He is the subtlest entity, therefore he can be realized only through feeling and by no other means. And mental japa is the best process of Ishvara Pranidhana. One's ideation should be expressed mentally, and the mind should be its witnessing entity. Ishvara Pranidhana does not mean to escape from the world, nor to avoid one's responsibilities like a coward. On the contrary, Ishvara Pranidhana is a dynamic spiritual practice performed with the courage of a lion. The more one masters the technique, the more the mental wave becomes straightened and the easier it becomes. Through Ishvara Pranidhana, one can reach the state of asaprajinata samadhi. Yet for this attainment, dhyana is actually more effective. Ishvara Pranidhana is a more effective practice for the attainment of savikalpa samadhi, because during Ishvara Pranidhana, the mind is temporarily concentrated in the state of ekagrabhumi, the fourth stage of mental development, the state of one-pointedness of mind. Whatever little amount of I feeling still persists can be finally discarded through the practice of dhyana. Asamprajnata samadhi is attained following the complete elimination of the I feeling. Ishvara Pranidhana can be practiced both individually as well as collectively. In collective Ishvara Pranidhana, the combined mental effort work together as so give rise to the expression of the higher science in a very short time. Therefore, like all other aspects of sadhana, Ishvara Pranidhana should positively be practiced alone in a lonely place. But in addition, do not miss the opportunity of collective Ishvara Pranidhana whenever some of you conveniently meet together. The indomitable mental force aroused as a result of collective Ishvara Pranidhana will help you solve any problem, great or small, on this earth. It is for this reason that you should always be zealous to attend weekly Dharma Chakra regularly. And this is the interesting part. In Niyama, the most important item is Ishvara Pranidhana. To be more clear and concrete, we may say that out of the 10 principles of Yama and Niyama, the remaining 8 are subordinated parts of the 2 items, Brahmacharya and Ishvara Pranidhana. And to summarize all the previous slides, Ishvara refers to Saguna Brahma, or God. Pranidhana means to understand clearly or adopt something as a shelter. So Ishvara Pranidhana is entirely a mental effort. It's not a physical effort. It's based on bhava, ideation, and it's not an escape from worldly responsibilities, but a practice. It helps in attaining Savikalpa Samadhi, and collective Ishvara Pranidhana amplifies mental efforts. And among the 5 principles of Niyama, Ishvara Pranidhana is paramount. That would be it. I do not have anything, any movies or anything like that that would be a good example of this principle. So if you have anything to add, I will gladly, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I was trying to think of examples from popular culture too. Nothing came to mind. But what did come to mind was this documentary that I saw on YouTube. It's called the Mountain Yogi, and it follows a Tibetan monk who just came out of a retreat, a meditation retreat in a cave. And I think he was meditating for 4 years in that cave. So it's like a very independent type of documentary, just a guy with a camcorder following him around. But he exits the retreat, and everyone you see him going around the different communities and people coming to him seeking blessings. What really stood out from the meditation from that documentary is he said uh, people think that he's special, but then he says I'm not special. It's just meditation. So why this stood out? It's I think Maxim last week said a term that stuck in my mind because it seems like the individuals always choose are like holy, holy individuals. But you know, I think some people might think that these people are born that way. But within uh, this chapter, it's all about the effort. You know, he does emphasize that it's a mental effort, um, and the dedication and the discipline in the practice that's what's required. So that monk being in the cave for 4 years, you know, it was I'm sure a very strict, disciplined practice to move towards the supreme. Yeah, within that Tibetan practice, I know mantra is a big part of it. So I'm thinking that it is very similar to the tantric practice that we have. Um, and even mentioned in this chapter that it's desirable to practice uh, alone in a lonely place. Hence, uh, meditating in the caves where there are, you know, completely no distractions and you can stay sort of more focused on the goal without that distraction. But yeah, if ever you guys get the chance, The Mountain Yogi on YouTube, a very interesting documentary.
I didn't find any examples really. But I saw the mountain yogi. It's, yeah, can represent this.
Was it from a recommendation I made many, many months ago?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah, I don't really have any. Namaskar. Ishvara Pranidhana. There is a story in Russian that my friend wrote about it, but it's going to be too difficult for me to translate it. So, yeah, let me think about it a bit. Well, I mean, I know there's one story, but I think I shared it before a long time ago. It's, I think, from Zen. It's one of the Zen stories, and it's called Big Waves. Unami, I think something like this it's called. But I think I shared it in one of the sessions. It's about this fighter or wrestler who was preparing for some big fight, and he was winning. He started losing. That was the problem. He trained, even though he was a very zealous fighter. He trained like really for a very, very long time. He practiced a lot, but for some reason, whenever he started to fight, he failed because he lacked confidence in something. So then naturally, he decided to see a more experienced person, a teacher. So he came to this teacher to see him, and the teacher heard his story and said, okay, well, you're gonna do one thing. You're gonna stay in this temple where you've come to visit me, and until first thing he asked him, what's your name? And he said, well, my name is Unami. And the teacher said, well, you know what your name means? Unami said, I'm not sure. And he said, well, your name means great waves, large or big waves. So what you got to do, you got to sit here with your closed eyes and you got to visualize those great big large waves. And so he said like this, and he started to meditate. And he meditated for like an hour, 2, 3, and it was very difficult, like nothing was coming. His mind was very distracted. He didn't know what to focus on. He was afraid, he was anxious, this and that. And then eventually, after some hours, he started to visualize those big waves, like really surges, and these waves, they started to be like very tiny, insignificant ones, but then they grew their magnitude until they became like a huge storm, and the storm filled the Buddha statues inside the temple, it filled the entire temple, and then it basically swarmed the entire city all around. So, and then he really grasped it, the true meaning. So by the end of the day, by the end of the night, his teacher found him. He was blissfully smiling in his meditation. And the teacher said, well, do you understand now? And Unami said, yes, now I understand. He's really become that. He was really focusing on that idea, on the waves, and that he was the storm. And through this affirmation, he developed this intense belief into this. And then when he participated in this contest, he won. And ever since then, he was winning all of these things. He was winning. But it grew its magnitude. He started from not believing, and then eventually, by focusing on that, he really developed the strength of his mind. He changed his identity from being confused or whatever to being this great storm. So I think Ishvara Pranidhana is a principle that has to do with identity a lot, you know. Dada, you say, what's his name? Krishna Budhyananda from the retreat center in the US, from Ananda Kanak, from Ananda Kanan. He basically explained it like this: it has to do with identity. You become that entity, you become a different person because your ego wanes. Your ego wanes, and you become Krishna. You become a Krishna. So your consciousness of Krishna. That's what his name means. And all actors, whoever they play, they change their identity. And when children grow, their identity basically change. So Baba writes that a youth of 5 years old or 10 years old is dead. When the 25-year-old is there, the youth of 5-year-old or 10 or 15 is no more. It's changed completely. He or she is changed. So, and I think when we meditate on that, we are like a snake, and we constantly shed our skin of our faulty cognitions, our, limited thoughts, and so forth. So it's a learning process, really. So who's going to present the second principle? Oh, that's it.
That's the last one.
That's the last one? No principles? Or who did tapa? I think I did last week, right?
Yes, it was you.
So where is everybody? What's going on? Who came for the DC?
Me and Madhu Vidya.
Huh?
Me and Madhu Vidya.
Oh, that's it?
Oh, there was what's his name? Artyom?
I am
Yes,
Aravind.
Aravinda, yeah.
Halina, and Dipti Mananda was the acharya.
Aravinda, who else?
I
Dada.
think it's Dada Dipti Mananda.
So Madhavidya, you, Aravinda, and Diptimananda, 4 people.
6.
And
Stanislav.
Helena, right? Is that her name? Hemani.
Hemavati. Or Ekamati.
And Stanislav.
No, it was Himani.
Himani, okay. Almost. Well,
Dada
anyway.
was singing very beautifully.
Who was?
Dada.
What was the discourse?
I don't know.
All right, it's okay.
Well, Kirtan. And I guess the deeper aspects of the purpose of Kirtan.
Okay. Well, okay, so we have the new unit next week. Very good. So let's see what we have. I think we're going to... let's see. Charya. Yay! Charya part 2. Very good. So, Madhuvidya, is it just one session, right?
I think there was 2, but I'm not sure.
Let me check. Okay, we can stop recording. It's okay.